Hello, my name is Abhay Matal. I'm pursuing engineering and I'm taking courses at TCC to get ahead of my future coursework. I chose Plato as my author, and the passage I'm going to read that I feel best represents him is from his Allegory of the Cave, which is presented in Book 7 of the Republic. The specific passage I chose shows a conversation between Socrates, Plato's teacher, and Glaucon, Plato's brother, as they discuss the superiority of intellectual understanding and the responsibility enlightened individuals have to society. I chose this particular passage because it demonstrates Plato's preferred method of seeking knowledge, namely dialogue, and how the power of conversation can lead to greater understanding, which is prevalent in much of Plato's works. Also, this particular passage demonstrates how Plato makes a series of assertions that logically flow from one another to come to an important conclusion, and how he employs metaphor and allegory to communicate his reasoning. The music accompaniment I chose is Für Elise by Ludwig van Beethoven. I chose this musical piece because of the interplay between the right hand and the left hand throughout the song. The right hand plays most of the melody, similar to how Plato's character Socrates drives the conversation in the passage. The left hand responds to the right hand with a series of broken chords, similar to a reply, that resembles Glaucon's intermittent answers to Socrates' questions. In a sense, the interplay of the right and left hands resembles the dialogue in the passage, and as the dialogue leads to new insight, the interplay in the song leads to the celebrated melody. Also, the initial melody established by the right hand repeats throughout the song, and the subsequent melodies build on that melody. This is similar to how Plato's character Socrates makes an assertion, and then using logic he builds on that assertion. In essence, I chose this musical piece because its phrasing resembles the style of deductive reasoning employed within the passage. In the following scene, I will read a passage from The Allegory of the Cave by Plato, and the background song for Elise is played by me. And if they were in the habit of conferring honors among themselves on those who were quickest to observe the passing shadows, and to remark which of them went before, and which followed after, and which were together, and who were therefore best able to draw conclusions as to the future, do you think that he would care for such honors and glories, or envy the possessors of them? Would he not say with Homer, better to be the poor servant of a poor master, and to endure anything, rather than think as they do and live after their manner? Yes, he said, I think that he would rather suffer anything than entertain these false notions, and live in this miserable manner. Imagine once more, one coming suddenly out of the sun, to be replaced in his old situation. Would he not be certain to have his eyes full of darkness? To be sure, he said. And if there were a contest, and he had to compete in measuring the shadows with the prisoners, who had never moved out of the cave, while his sight was still weak, and before his eyes had become steady, and the time which would be needed to acquire this new habit of sight might still be very considerable, would he not be ridiculous? Men would say of him that up he went and down he came without his eyes, and that it was better to not even think of ascending. And if any one try to loose another, and lead him up to the light, let them only catch the offender, and they would put him to death. No question. This entire allegory, I said, you may now append, dear Glaucon, to the previous argument. The prison house is the world of sight, the light of the fire is the sun, and you will not misapprehend me if you interpret the journey upwards to be the ascent of the soul into the intellectual world according to my poor belief, which, at your desire, I have expressed whether rightly or wrongly God knows. But, whether true or false, my opinion is that in the world of knowledge the idea of good appears last of all, and is seen only with an effort, and when seen, is also inferred to be the universal author of all things beautiful and right, parent of light and of the Lord of light in the visible world, and the immediate source of reason and truth in the intellectual, and that this is the power upon which he would act rationally, either in public or private life, must have his eye fixed. I agree, he said, as far as I am able to understand you. Moreover, you must not wonder that those who attain to this beatific vision are unwilling to descend to human affairs, for their souls are ever hastening into the upper world, where they desire to dwell, which desire of theirs is very natural, if our allegory may be trusted. Yes, very natural.